Hey folks, I've been craving homemade meatballs and spaghetti, so when that happens I gotta make it. So I've got my ground beef here and I'm gonna be making some tomato sauce. So, you know, if you're gonna make homemade meatballs, you might as well make homemade sauce. So what I have here is a pound and a half of ground sirloin. This is a 90-10 meat to fat ratio, and I like to use really lean meat when I make my meatballs. And I've got some olive oil, got some marjoram, some Mediterranean oregano, and some Mediterranean basil. I got onion, some garlic, and I'll probably use about 4 cloves of garlic. You can alter that, you can add as much or as little. I've got an egg, and I have 2 of these containers of, how many ounces is that? That's 26 ounces. This is my all-time favorite brand of tomatoes. This is the strain, which is perfect for sauce. It's puree, and it's a product of Italy. It's made in Italy. It is kind of expensive, I gotta say, but to tell you the truth, if I'm going to go through all the trouble of making my own sauce and everything, I want to have the best tomatoes I can. And one of the things I love about this is you read the ingredients list. The ingredients list is extremely short. Ingredients: tomatoes. That's it. No salt, no citric acid, no nothing. I really love these. So I got some breadcrumbs, I've got some spaghetti, of course, I got salt and pepper to taste. So I actually start by preparing my pasta first. So I'm going to go ahead and boil up the spaghetti per package directions, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with that in a minute. And then I'm going to get this all ready. I'll then make the sauce, and then I make the meatballs. So stick with me. This is how I make meatballs. Okay, my pasta is done, and I simply drain and rinse it with some cold water to remove any of the excess starch. Plus it cools down the pasta real quick, stops the cooking. And then what I like to do is just transfer the pasta over to a large ziplock bag. And then what I do is put it in the refrigerator until I'm ready to use it. And it's good for leftover. So I have some extra pasta left over. Just close it, get rid of some of that excess air. I'm just going to pop this in the fridge until I'm ready to eat. Okay, let's go make some sauce. Now the sauce. Start by turning on our stove. I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Let that come up to heat. And then I've got a whole minced sweet onion. I'm just going to sweat this onion really quick. After a few minutes, the onions are nice and soft. I'm going to go ahead and add 4 cloves of minced garlic and a teaspoon each of the herbs. I like to put the herbs in there at this point. Let them saute with the onions and the garlic and release their oils in with the olive oil. Really infuse that olive oil. Oh man, that smells really good. So just gonna add some black pepper too at this point. I'm not gonna add any salt yet. I'll add that later to taste. But at this point, I really don't need to add any salt. Garlic smelling really good. Okay, I'm going to reduce this down to medium and then add my tomato sauce. Oh, it's good stuff. I love this brand. Now I'm just going to add a little bit of water because this is going to simmer for a while. Oh yeah, this is going to be some good sauce. Okay, stick around. I'll bring you back when this is ready, and then I'll start the meatballs. Sauce has been simmering for 25 minutes. We'll periodically stir it, so it should be about ready. So I'm just going to taste and then adjust the salt, which I didn't add. It's a great flavor. I just need to add some salt. I'm going to start with a teaspoon of kosher salt. That's the beauty of getting tomatoes that don't have any salt. You can adjust them yourself, adjust the salt yourself. It's probably not enough, but I like to start with a little and just add until it gets to the right flavor. Yep, gonna need another teaspoon. So that's 2 teaspoons of kosher salt. Needs more. I'm gonna go with 3 teaspoons of kosher salt. Still not quite there. Okay, this is it. This is all I'm going. It's 4 teaspoons of kosher salt. Now I could have gone with 2 teaspoons of regular salt, but I like using the kosher salt. And kosher salt is like double, or regular salt is like double kosher salt. So if you've got 2 teaspoons of kosher salt, that's 1 teaspoon of regular table salt. So that's 4 teaspoons of kosher salt. Oh, that's perfect. Yep. That is perfect. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to reserve some of this sauce. That's about, I want about a half a cup. Yep, about a half a cup, because this is going to go in the meatballs. So I'm going to let this cool down, and then let's make our meatballs. Time to make the meatballs. Here I've got my 1.5 pounds of ground sirloin. I'm going to add as much of the breadcrumbs as I think I need. I'm not sure, that might be about a half a cup. I'm going to add 1 whole egg. And then I'm going to add that sauce that I set aside to cool down. And I'm just gonna mix this all up good. I'll add more breadcrumbs if I think I need to, but that looks like a good mixture right there. I really love adding the sauce to the meatball mixture. Get those flavors in there. Just mix this thoroughly. No, that's a noisy bowl. I always forget to grab that little thing right there. Okay. Now, we'll start making some meatballs. Just grab some of the ground beef, roll it into a ball, hence meatballs. That's about the size I like. About the size of a golf ball, maybe a little bit smaller. Okay, one more. I don't like them really big. I've actually had some in some restaurants that were like the size of a baseball, and I really don't like those big ones. I like them about like that. Okay, I'm going to continue on with these, and I'll refrigerate them until I'm ready to cook them, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. So stay tuned. Let me get these meatballs ready. Okay, heating up my pan. I'm just going to add some olive oil to coat the bottom. And I love doing this with the meatballs. So I love sauteing the meatballs in that olive oil. Give it some extra flavor. So I'm just going to let that come up to temp and then start cooking the meatballs, and then I'll transfer them over to the sauce. Okay, I can see the oil has come up to temp because I can see it shimmering there. So I'm just going to start adding some of my meatballs and saute these. You don't want to put them all in there at once. You want to crowd the skillet. So I'm going to cook these, and I'll bring you along as I'm progressing. So stay tuned. You don't want to fully cook the meatballs. You just want to kind of brown them. See that? Get a good crust on them. So I'm going to flip them over. Just kind of rotate them around until you get a nice crust on them. Yeah, it's coming along good. It smells awesome. Okay, I'm going to let this go and probably turn them a couple more times. Meatballs have been browned on all sides. They're perfect. They're ready to go. Now let's get happy in the sauce. This first batch is done. Now, let's finish up with the rest. I'm going to continue on with this process. And then I'll cover this and let it simmer until we are ready to eat. It's 4:08 right now, so we're not going to eat for a while. So I'm just going to leave this on a slow simmer. And we'll be ready to eat, and I'll show you how I'm going to plate this up. Dinner time. Let's put together a plate of spaghetti and meatballs. I'll just take a serving of spaghetti, however much you want. That's about right for me. I'm just gonna microwave this for 60 seconds. Just to warm up the spaghetti. And add some meatballs and sauce. Boy, the entire house smells good. Smell that meatballs and the sauce. That is so good. That was 60 seconds. Pasta is perfect. Now, let's just add some meatballs and some sauce. Get back up there. Okay, 4 meatballs and some extra sauce, because that sauce is good. Okay, let's see how this tastes. Actually, I forgot. Some Parmigiano Reggiano. Gotta have the Parmigiano Reggiano, right, Sal? Okay. Now let's taste it. Okay, let's see how these meatballs turned out. Mmm. Absolutely wonderful. You cannot beat homemade meatballs and sauce. That is so good. Well, there you have it. Homemade meatballs and sauce.